In this video, we're going to work on the ALEKS problem called Naming Common Laboratory Separation Techniques. This problem is going to describe a scenario that you need to fill in the blanks A and B based on one of 4 common lab separation techniques. I'm going to do my best to describe those 4 situations for you right here. Number 1, first one on the list is a process called filtration. And filtration is going to take a mixture and it is going to separate that mixture usually into a liquid and a solid. Not all the time, but almost all the time. The process is called filtering, and the substances that you get out of that are referred to as the filtrates. Another technique that we're going to see coming up in this is called distillation. And in the distillation process, we have a mixture. Distillation process involves heating stuff up until they start boiling. And typically, the distillation separates the mixture into 2 different liquids. Now, in the distillation process, they might originally be gases because they are being boiled, but they're ultimately separating into 2 liquids. Number 3, we have an extraction process. This one is a little bit harder to describe. So this is where we have a mixture and then a solvent is added to it. So some type of liquid is added to it. And in the extraction process, one component, I'm just going to say one part of the mixture will dissolve. And one part of the mixture does not dissolve. So one part is going to be left behind. And then last but not least, the hardest one to describe is chromatography. And chromatography is when we take a mixture. Again, it is put with, or I think maybe I'm going to say on a substance. So a lot of times it's put onto a particular type of paper. It could also be put into a column full of porous substance. So maybe I'll say that a mixture that is in or on a substance, and that mixture separates usually into like bands or stripes that we refer to as a chromatogram. It might be easier if I try to draw a picture of the process of chromatography. So it could be like we have a piece of paper and we put a mixture on that piece of paper, put it on that substance. Over time, that mixture is going to separate into bands, in this case, of like different colored substances. And those bands, that product, we would refer to as a chromatogram. So identifying the lab technique that this problem is referring to is really going to boil down to you focusing on what are the states, solid versus liquid versus many colors. This chromatography, usually one of the key things you can look for is that it does involve colors of things. So you're going to be looking for clues in the problem that are going to help you match up with the correct scenario. So for this problem, this says I have a gray powder that is being mixed into a beaker of water until no more of the powder dissolves. So that's how I make my mixture. And then it says, she says, how can she separate the liquid from the undissolved powder? So here I'm trying to figure out how to separate a liquid from a solid. Liquid from a solid. The teacher says filtration should work well. That's the name of the technique. So that's what we would put in this box right here. And then it's going to ask us one more question, just with the vocabulary pertaining to filtration. What should I use as the filter is what is the word that we're looking for. So filtration uses forgot a letter. Filtration uses a filter. In the distillation problems on ALEKS, the words that they're looking for are distillation and distillate, which is the mixture, the liquids that you get out of the distillation product. In the extraction problems, the other word that ALEKS is looking for is extract, which also is the name of the substances that you get out of the extraction process. And in the chromatography problems, the other word that ALEKS is looking for in this is chromatogram, which is the name of the colorful separation of the bands in the chromatography process.